very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to have the 14th Career Conversation of Season 2. And today we have a wonderful guest from Denmark, Dr. Ree Thomsen, and she is a professor in career guidance at Aarhus University. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ree.
Thank you very much, Rasa.
Okay, I would like to seek your insights on how you came to this field of career guidance. What was your inspiration of entering this field of transforming and inspiring people?
I was a teacher in secondary school in Denmark, and I started the education for career guidance practitioner. And when I met sort of the whole field of theories and methods and research in career guidance, I was so intrigued and interested in the whole field. So this was my way into research. So I had to find a way to graduate from the university to qualify myself to do research. And after that, I was lucky enough to get employment as a PhD student with Peter Plant. And I did a dissertation on career guidance in communities, which really formed my research perspective. So that's my big interest. That's how our careers are in relation to and even interwoven with the communities that we are also part of.
Wonderful, wonderful start. You shared about communities, and I know, knowing from research and knowing from experience, that the Nordic countries are very career friendly. So what can different countries learn from Nordic countries to advocate career counseling and career guidance as a civic right for the youth?
I think what is characteristic of the Nordic countries is that we have many organizations. So we have very strong unions that advocates access to career guidance. We also have voluntary organizations of all different kinds, and in that way is a very structured society. So I think that's an advantage, of course, when you talk about structures of career guidance and also in terms of access. But with that being said, we also struggle to reach out to the groups that we want to be in touch with in terms of their benefit of career guidance. We also struggle with getting the appropriate amount of resources. And most of all, I think we all have to share the responsibility of communicating to stakeholders about what career guidance is, what it can actually do, and the whole variety of methods and theories that are in our field.
Okay, wonderful. Can you share some best practices from Denmark that you were involved in for the viewers that are listening to you around the globe? Some very impactful projects of career guidance and reform.
Yes. I think the most powerful projects that I have been involved in has been projects that has taken a participatory approach to development of practice. And by that I mean project that has engaged practitioners, researchers and other stakeholders in the same development processes. Because that has meant that the processes has been, at the same time has been contributing to competence development, to research and to development of practice. So I think that we have found a very powerful way of getting synergies from the resources by combining these processes and making them transparent and participatory in terms of developing both practice and also policy level. And the project Insight and Outlooks, which is about career education in secondary school, is such an example.
Wonderful. The participatory approach is indeed very strong for community engagement, as you rightly said. As you know, IAVG, the International Association for Vocational and Educational Guidance, is having its international conference in 2021 in October, hopefully if everything goes well. And the theme of this year's conference is maximizing career guidance and career development. So as a practitioner, as a researcher in Denmark, what advice would you like to give to scholars, to practitioners, to people that are entering this field on how we can advocate the profession and optimize the profession?
Well, I think that the best way we can do it is through collaboration. So we need to offer ourselves as collaborators to policymakers, but we need to be specific about what it is that we offer. So we offer deep insight about career guidance practices. We offer insight about how people in very diverse ways want to live their lives, and how career guidance can be sort of a motor in bringing education, employment, entrepreneurship, sustainability into those considerations together with people. But I think that we need to be very explicit when we look for collaboration. We cannot just sit and wait for people to find us, to ask us to collaborate, to sort of extend an invitation. We really need to, as we sometimes advise our clients, why don't you just call them and ask for an appointment about coffee? Or is there someone you can talk to learn more about this? And when we talk to policymakers and other actors to learn about their thoughts about career guidance, we also have the chance to learn from that dialogue, but also to contribute to that dialogue. So I think we could be, I don't know, perhaps a laid back offensive. Could that be a term? I don't know.
Okay, I think I like your example of being a motor, and a motor for our viewers is a very integral part of any system. So when we have that lens of focus that, career guidance is a prerequisite of whatever educational reform we want to do, that has a much more strategic impact to policymakers. So when we go as people of the careers community, our focus should be crystal clear. Our communication should be very clear, and that's how we will be able to make an impact. We talked about access earlier, and I wanted to seek your wisdom on how can we increase access to vulnerable communities that don't have internet. So how can we increase that in very innovative ways? Can you share your insights on that?
Well, I think the very innovative way of increasing access is to actually be where people live. So you don't increase access by spending time in your office and trying to reach out and communicate to people who perhaps do not have very stable internet connection. You actually need to go there. And if you need an office at all, that's also a good question. You can set it up in that community by traveling to the communities that for which you want to make a difference. You also, through that act, show an acknowledgement of them being important people. So you are important to society, and we would like to have a dialogue, and we also have resources to offer, and that's resources in terms of information about education, jobs, and activities that help them prepare for engaging in society.
Wonderful. I like your approach of being proactive and being visible on the ground. And I think that is a very transformative approach of being very authentic in our intent of serving inclusive communities. So when you're actually on the ground, automatically access will improve. So I really enjoyed that perspective. As you know, the United Nations has various days to celebrate around the year on various causes. Labor Day was just celebrated on May 1st. So what is your perspective on why not have an International Careers Day? As we are contributing towards livelihood, towards economic development. Can you share your insights on that?
I think it's a good idea, and I think it's an idea that will also increase the visibility about people taking the opportunity to really think about their career, to feel about their career, to act about their career, to investigate about their career, to do all sorts of things about their career. And I think it could help a broader variety of people who do not find themselves as being career oriented, to perhaps experience the more broad concept of career. You use the word livelihood planning. So the broad concept where career is how you live your life and how you make a living in that life, and the decisions, the power that individuals have to affect their lives through their careers, through their employment, through their education. So I would really support that idea.
Wonderful. Coming towards Generation Z, the young students that have really been affected by this pandemic greatly, they have not started their careers. So what words of wisdom and what words of hope will you like to share to the young people that are recently in their final year at universities in Denmark, in different countries across the globe, that they can position themselves to start their careers?
First of all, I would challenge you a little bit about the notion when you say they have not started their careers yet. I think that many students are already in some kind of career when we think about the broad career perspective. And I think that's also a way to go, to let them know that you are already living your life, you are already doing things regarding your career. So to give them that safety in a way, and to also encourage them to form communities of support with each other, to keep doing activities that qualify them later on, and they can do those sort of activities together. They can in the Danish society, we have high unemployment benefits. So, and I know that is not the case, of course, around the world, but students could look for meaningful projects through which they can contribute to society and get experience, network, and also, the acknowledgement that all people need, and which I really think that we all owe to the new students who have a bit more difficulties getting into the labor market. We need to give them that acknowledgement by perhaps doing more internships, doing small career guidance activities where we have the possibilities, all of us who work in the field.
I think that's an excellent advice, Dr. Reed, that giving acknowledgement to the young people, that really makes a lot of difference to their confidence. And second of all, as you mentioned, that in your country that there are various types of opportunities to invest while you are unemployed, and I totally agree that they have already started their career. I was referring to the full-time careers of after graduating from university. So I think this notion of communities, community development, and they are so active on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Facebook. Why not leverage their network towards idea generation? So last but not the least, I would like to seek your advice. What will be your message to career practitioners and career professionals that are currently working the profession or plan to enter the profession, which contributes towards UN sustainable goals, social justice, and global harmony?
Well, I think that the UN sustainable goals are important, and I think it's important, but they are also they need to be reflected in the particular context. So my advice would be to have a development day together with your colleagues and investigate those goals together and see how can they be contextualized in your career guidance activities. How does it make meaning? I don't believe there are universal advice to be giving, but I really strongly believe in terms of contextuality. And I don't know if you will allow me one last comment, because I have a small gift for the viewers if they're interested.
Sure.
Yeah. I have the pleasure of, I have received a lot of actually copies of my book. Now it's in reverse, Career Guidance in Communities, that I can give away for free. So if people will send me a label for delivery with OOPS or GLS or DAO or whichever picks up from Slagelse in Denmark and delivers to your place, I'll be happy to send you one.
Thank you so much for your generous sharing. And once this video is recorded, I will share this on social media. And I know you will get a lot of requests to send it to people around the globe. So you will be famous more in new emerging countries. So thank you so much for your time. This was wonderful to learn from you. And I really like this perspective of having a development day. And I think that is so contextual that, once you go into developing and organizing a day, you will actually know what is the development sector is all about. What is servant leadership? What is compassion? What is service? What is inclusion? What is diversity? So I really enjoyed your conversation, and I wish you all the best in your academic and research activities.
Thank you, Asa, for setting up this interview. I really enjoyed the questions. They were very, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.